Manchester United fan Alice Abrahams. Good morning to you. Alice, first of all, lately have you been Amorim in or Amorim out?
I like to give managers time. I like to be patient. I hate this cycle of sacking managers, but I am Amorim out. I'm really struggling to defend a manager that's not won back-to-back games, has lost more games than he's won. And I think West Ham have picked up more points than us. I think one more point than us now since Amorim was appointed, and they've already sacked Potter. So I'm just really struggling to defend him.
OK, and he is going to be in charge tomorrow, of course. That takes us into the international breaks. Is this the biggest game of his reign so far?
I mean, it's up there. I think Europa League final probably would be the biggest game of his reign. But I think right now we're in a position where I think every game for the next month or so, I think he's under a lot of pressure. I think if he doesn't get a run of wins by Christmas, I think he could be gone.
But what if he doesn't win tomorrow?
I think he could go. I mean, media playing it down a bit, saying, Ratcliffe wants to give him time, this and that, but they did that with Ten Hag last year, and then he went in the October break.
Alice, I think whether he wins tomorrow or not, I think his time's up. He's only got a short-term contract, I believe, to the end of the season. So he's not going to be expensive to get rid of him. I mean, his comments the other day were ridiculous when he said, I need to change my formation, but I'm not going to do it just because you want me to. That was, silly. You look at his team selections, they actually have the players to go and play 4-2-3-1, but he just doesn't want to do it. And that, I always allude back to, managers that believe more in their philosophy. That's more important to them than points.
Yeah, and that's going to cost him.
And exactly, and it's going to cost his job. I look at the players, they don't look happy. They don't look like they want to play for the manager. When they do play, they never really get the best out of themselves. And I think that's the biggest problem in all this. I'm the same as you. I don't want to see managers get sacked here, there and everywhere. But ultimately, the football is poor at Man United. The whole culture at Man United just seems really toxic, and I think it needs a manager. I mean, even what Jamie O'Hara said the other day about someone like Roy Keane going in there and helping change that culture. I think that's what it kind of needs now going forward, because everything just looks really negative.
There was a message on the bottom of the screen there saying that it should be Jurgen Klopp who takes over from Rúben Amorim. I don't think that one's going to happen, Alice. But let's say, I know you've said you are Amorim out at the moment, and Jay's right. When we were talking to Jamie O'Hara the other day, he sparked a huge worldwide debate when he mentioned Roy Keane coming in to help the culture in some capacity. Who would you want in?
That's a difficult question. I think maybe someone like Glasner. I think a little bit of Premier League experience is good, but I think a manager that can adapt, and Glasner's shown as an experienced manager, he's played many different formations and systems. And I look at Rúben Amorim and I think, he's says he won't change, and he's doing the same thing over and over again. That's not working, and he doesn't want to change. And all the best managers have changed, Klopp, Pep, since coming to the Premier League, and Amorim just seems to not want to change. And I just think right now, I look at Slot in his first season at Liverpool, how he didn't really get any signings in the door, but played to his players' strengths. I want a manager that's going to come in, see that this team probably plays better in a 4-2-3-1, play to their strengths, sort of improve the players. Because right now you've taken Bruno Fernandes, arguably the best creator in the league, and you're playing him as a number 6. He can't find a role for Maino. I think someone like Glasner that knows how to profile players and maximise their strengths.
Alice, I was going to say that to you. The only thing about Glasner is all the clubs he's been at, he's played with a 3-5-2 as well. And I genuinely don't think those players are capable of playing in a 3-5-2. The person that I like is
a back four. In an interview, he says he prefers to play like a 4-4-2 or a back four, but I think it depends on the players he has.
I mean, I know that in the past he's played 3 at the back, but I think Sebastian Hoeneß at Stuttgart, I think he would be really good. I've seen his teams play. They play good football, attacking football, possession-based team. He's a nephew of Hoeneß at Bayern Munich as well.
Uli Hoeneß.
Yeah, at Bayern Munich. I think that he would be a great addition, because I just feel like, again, with those attacking players that Man United have, it's just dying out for like a 4-2-3-1 or even a 4-3-3. But it's 3 at the back, 3-5, 3-4-2-1 is just not working. You're putting too many round pegs in square holes.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, and just I think that gets the best out of the players. And right now, I'm thinking this isn't working. We've had 34 games in the league under Amorim to see that. I think he's managed 50 games or 49 games now. We've had enough games to see it's not working, and he said he's not going to change it. And right now, we need to find a way to make it work. And I think that involves bringing a new manager in.
Would you bring Alex Ferguson out of retirement? Get back in there.
I don't think he'll do that.
But where do you stand, though, on this talk about the culture needs to... maybe standards have slipped at the club, and the way to get those standards back up is bringing back some of those club legends. I mean, Darren Fletcher's been at the club, but he was first-team coach, then he was technical director, now he's working with the under-18s. And more people like that. We've mentioned Roy Keane, we've mentioned Michael Carrick, Kieran McKenna, Gary Neville, plenty of people. Would somebody going into that club immediately raise standards?
I don't know. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of bringing back a club legend to try and raise standards or improve this. We've had Ollie as manager, we've had Carrick involved, we've had Rúben Amorim involved. Like, we've had a lot of people involved, and I personally wouldn't get Roy Keane involved. But I agree, mentality is an issue. Like, Rúben Amorim is bad, but these players are playing one game a week, and the intensity they're giving the manager is also bad. And it's like, Rúben Amorim needs to go, in my opinion, but the players need to step up, and we need to find a way to do that. And instill culture, but I'm not sure if it's bringing in club legends. I think it's just a reset in general, from the top to the bottom.
Alice, I think what people are talking about when they talk about club legends, it's almost like they know what is expected, what it takes to be a successful Man United player. The beliefs of being a part of Man United Football Club, being one of the biggest clubs in the world. But one thing I do know, this game against Sunderland is a tough game. Sunderland are in form, and they are one of the hardest working teams in the Premier League. If Man United can't match that work rate alone, they're not going to win that game on the weekend. They're just not, because we've seen that. And like you said there, the players don't work hard. And, you know, we talk about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, is still one of the best number 10s in the world. If you play him in his position, he's going to get goals and assists. You play him as a number 6. And as much as he works hard up and down, he doesn't have the defensive nous to go and make them interceptions like defensive midfielders do. But nevertheless, he does work really hard, but I think it's a collective thing. And again, I just don't see them working hard collectively.
Yeah, I agree. I was disappointed versus Brentford because as bad as it was from Amorim, I just felt these players were not winning the second balls. They weren't chasing. Yeah. They had mistakes in them. I felt there was a real lack of desire from a lot of players on the pitch. And I think, you know, it's not just about the manager and the tactics. It's about how much you want it. You know, there's a lot of teams that always do well in big games because you see that they outwork their opposition. And I feel like Manchester United, when it's a game against a team that we are expected to beat, we're almost not as up for it. We were more up for Arsenal because it's a big game than we are for these games like Sunderland, Brentford, and I think that
was the best performance of the season, wasn't it, Arsenal?
I know, and we didn't even win.
Exactly.
All right, Alice, thanks very much.
Thank you, Alice.
Indeed. See you soon.
Thank you.
Right, coming up next, remember, you get to shape the show. Get your questions in for Jay Bothroyd. We will put them to him. Scan that QR code, send us your questions, or voice notes as well. Keep them to around 20 seconds.